Hey everybody, Stel here from the Shoot Style Sauna, here with my review of AEW Full Gear 2020, AEW's final pay-per-view of this year. This show coming from Daily Displays in Jacksonville, Florida, as always, and we have a 8-match show to break down. We're going to go through, match by match, break down what happened, give each match a star rating, and at the very end of the review, we'll name our show grade, the match of the night, and our MVP. Before we go on, just a quick mention of the buy-in. It was Shida D defending the NWA title against Allin K. Pretty standard back and forth match. Gonna see a good showcase for both women. In the end, Deep gets the win with Serenity Lock, and we can see Thunder Rosa make a return to AEW. Bit of a setup for a rematch down the line, and yeah, not much else to report there. With that out of the way, let's see what happened at AEW Full Gear 2020. Kicking off the main card of Full Gear, it is a big match actually in the AEW World Title Eliminator final between former tag team partners Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. Some quick tidbits before we get into the match. We have Don Callis of Impact Wrestling on commentary. He's been popping up in some of the vignettes hyping this match, so it's nice to see him actually make an appearance here and maybe a collaboration between AEW and Impact. Who knows what'll happen with that? And also, during Omega and Hangman's entrances, there are mentions of New Japan Pro Wrestling talking about their previous encounters in the promotion, so maybe we'll see some seeds of a AEW New Japan partnership coming up with the new leadership in New Japan. Looks like it's happening. We'll talk about more of that as the show goes on. So this match is very back and forth. These two have clearly done their homework on each other. They know how each other's moves very well, have been tag partners and everything, and both of them have a hard time getting each other. It only starts to take advantage when we're on the outside, when Kenny is able to reverse an Irish whip with one of his classic apron moonsaults. It looks really good. He has a barricade. JR actually gets it wrong by calling it a Hurricanrana, so it's a pretty funny moment there. Good one, JR. It's pretty, like I said, very back and forth stuff. And later on, Kenny goes for one winged angel, but Hangman's able to get out of that. He tries one of his own actually, which is actually a real cool moment, but Kenny escapes it, and more finisher traits we see from there on. But as Hangman's also going for a buckshot lariat, Kenny's able to hit a V-trigger on the launch. It's always a really nice looking spot there. More fighting on the outside. They get on the ramp. Hangman goes for a Deadeye. However, Kenny gets out of it, but Hangman gets back, gets him again, hits him a powerbomb on the ramp first, and then another one in the ring, only a near fall. Match starts to slow down later on. It ends in a Hangman elbow strike or a striking contest, but Kenny's able to retaliate once more. A quick knee strike, not really a V-trigger, where we get this ugly looking tiger driver. Hangman lands on his head, but he looks to be okay, and we're all good there. More fighting, and here's a great moment. We see Omega hit the Snapdragon, but guys, it's G1 season, as Hangman just no-sells it and fights back with a quick clothesline, then hits the Deadeye. No luck there, and we get to the finish where Hangman goes for a buckshot lariat attempt. Kenny again hits him with a V-trigger, another V-trigger, and even with Hangman fighting back, like hitting Kenny in the head, he still hits the one-winged angel for the win, and whew, that caps off that match. Kenny Omega wins. He'll be the number one contender for the AEW World Title. He looks over at Hangman after the match, but he doesn't do anything bad to him, which I was worried about, and he just heads to the back as we fade to black. I'm gonna give this match 4.5 stars out of 5. Really fast-paced action here. Not that long of a match, only about a little less than 20 minutes. Really enjoyed the action. I like the appearance of Don Callis and like the tidbits sowing the seeds of a potential New Japan partnership. We'll talk more about Kenny Omega as the night goes on. This is not the last time we see him. It does. Also, it's not the last time we'll see Hangman Page, so there's a lot happening for both of these two, but we'll talk about that as this review goes on. But hey, great opener, really fast-paced stuff, great chemistry between the two, and yeah, really excited for what both these two are going to do next. Next up, it is a match built to recently on Dynamite. It is Orange Cassidy taking on number 4 of the Dark Order in John Silver. Silver cost Orange Cassidy his TNT title shot on Dynamite against Cody in Lumberjack match, and it's been building up ever since then. Pretty standard match. This is a very good showcase for John Silver. Early on, it's a bit of a comedy match. We see OC doing his traditional kick offense, Silver yelling that it doesn't hurt. I really enjoyed that exchange right there. But Silver, this is, like I said, really good showing for him. You see like a lot of his strength-based offense. He's throwing Orange Cassidy around from corner to corner. He actually shows he's scouted Orange Cassidy as well. He has this really good counter to the spinning DDT that does by just squatting, and it's like keeping his balance and not letting Orange Cassidy spike him down. Really nice moment there. And Silver just, he throws him around some more. We get a really good looking one-handed military press later on, but that's really it for Silver, because then the Orange Cassidy is able to take control again as he hits the Michinoku driver after that, so it starts to slow down a little bit more in OC's favor. But hey, Silver gets one last good breath in. After a few good moves, he hits the Spin Doctor, his finisher, but only gets a near fall out of it. He tries to think of something else to do. He goes for Brody Lee's discus lariat, actually, but Orange Cassidy, he counters, hits Superman punch, and the beach break for the simple 1-2-3. 3 stars out of 5. Nah, not a ton to the match, but nothing bad about it. I was pretty entertained by this match, and nothing to complain. It's really nice to see John Silver doing pretty well for himself after getting over on being the elite some more, and OC continued with his push. I didn't think he would lose, having just beaten Chris Jericho and been in title contention. Hopefully we'll see him get more of like a prominent role outside of this feud, but we'll see in the weeks to come. Good for both men, and I'm excited for the future of both of them. In the first title match of AEW Full Gear's main card is the TNT Championship match between Cody Rhodes, he's got his Rhodes back, taking on his long rival Darby Allin. This feud, there's not much can be said about this feud. We know how long these two have known each other, dating back to Fyter Fest in 2019. They've had a series of matches since then. Cody has always gotten the better of Darby since then. Is this going to be that Darby finally does it? Well, let's find out. Not a lot happens in the early match. It kind of sets the mood for who is the good guy and the bad guy. Cody's playing the heel here as he's taunting Darby, rolling out of the ring after Darby gains an advantage on him as Orange just talks to him. So it's pretty feeling each other out in the beginning. There's actually a really rough moment at the start where Darby goes for a sheer Nui, but then Cody just throws him outside of the ring onto the ramp. Like that was a really looking spot. And then it starts to take a very work-ratey, match-based approach. I'm not going to report everything that happens here. Cody is able to keep Darby on the mat. He takes a break for push-ups, and Arn's having none of it. This isn't the first time Arn's going to get mad in this match. He gets mad a lot at Cody during this match. And given Cody's recent bulking up and getting bigger with his muscles, he has a strength advantage. There's actually a good showcase of that. He hits a super shoulder breaker off the top rope and gets into a cross armbar. Really rough spot there for Darby. Darby finds a way out of it and actually gets the momentum back, hitting a Yoshi tonic on Cody. Very nice there. And interestingly enough, we get to one of the corners and he gets the middle turnbuckle pat down and Cody falls into it. So Darby not necessarily fighting too clean, kind of doing any means story sort of thing going on here, but still more back and forth. Later on, we get to another turnbuckle post on the very top and we get a super crossroads, but Darby gets too far to the ropes and Cody is unaware that he gets his arm under it. And again, Arn is getting so mad at Cody because he's not noticing the things that he should be noticing. Arn, you gotta fix your coaching there, buddy. And then we get to another rig post. This match is like a four-post massacre for the most part, which I think is actually really entertaining. I was saying this as I watched it live. We get a big back body drop off the top rope. All these big moves, and Darby's outside of the ring. He gets back in just at not even Arn tells him to stay down. Darby's being very resilient in this match. He's able to fight back from just about anything. And later on, we get to one of the climax of the match. Just after he gets down from military press, Cody gets his weight belt, but Kyoto stops him. Darby almost rolls up Cody, but no, breakup. Cody goes for the disaster kick next. No, that's get countered into the last upper pinfall. Another near fall. And as Darby has him down for a little bit, we see Darby hit the coffin drop. He nails it. Only another near fall. What's gonna do it here? Well, it's not a finish that gets this match done. We see more roll-up pin trades, and wait, what's this? Darby pins Cody for a roll-up. Wow, I did not see this coming at all. What a big moment for Darby. He is the new TNT champion. You see Cody endorse him after the match. He hands him the belt, very like Shinsuke Nakamura style. And I'm like, oh no, he's gonna hit him in the balls and turn heel again. No, that doesn't happen because something else happens here. Team Taz comes out. They make their appearance felt. They cut a promo about the two, and as he's yelling at both of them about giving equal opportunities, Brian Cage, Ricky Starks are in. They beat down the both of them. They fight by the set pieces for a bit. Darby gets thrown to a set piece, and then they take Darby over to the car that he came out on. They put Darby's arm in the car door that's shut. Looks like they're gonna break it, but Will Hobbs comes out. He makes a save for Cody and Darby as he chases off the heels, and yeah, they take care of the two, and that's how we end the segment. I'm gonna give this match 4.5 stars out of 5. Really fun, fast-paced action match. Not very long either. Like I said, under 20 minutes, so it's actually, they get a lot in within this match, and it's a really good showing for both people, and it's a great babyface moment for Darby to finally, after all this time fighting Cody, he finally gets the job done, and he should have a great TNT title reign. It looks like he's gonna be defending against Ricky Starks first, which I think is really exciting. As for Cody, looks like he's going to move into a feud with either Team Taz or just maybe Brian Cage, but I know they're dealing with Will Hobbs and Darby right now, so that's where I'm going to flesh out some more, but still. Congrats Darby again, great showing for both men. Maybe Cody moves on to another feud or away from the TNT title now? Only time will tell. Next up, it is the AEW Women's World Championship, as it is Hikaru Shida defending against the Native Beast, Nyla Rhodes, this time with Vicky Guerrero, unlike their last being a Double or Nothing. A lot of parallels to their Double or Nothing match, really back and forth stuff. Remember, there's no DQ in this match. Oh, there's no DQ stipulation, so it's more of a straightforward singles match this time. And yeah, very straightforward stuff and very back and forth to start. Shida has a hot start, but as like they get to the outside area where the audience is, like they did Double or Nothing, Vicky Guerrero gets involved and hits Shida in the leg with the kendo stick. And this is where a lot of Nyla's offense for the match comes in. She zones in on the leg, puts like Shida in submission holds. She also, when she does her jumping knee strike on the rope, she actually hits her lower body. So it's a really nice strategy from Nyla, and she dominates for a lot of the match. And even when Shida gets back into it, Nyla seems to have her scouted in some ways. Shida fights back eventually. She hits 2 missile dropkicks to keep her down, but even like that can't do it. As Nyla beats out Shida some more, she actually does the knee strike on Shida. However, as she pins her, she kicks out at one, pulling the Hiroshi Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom against Kenny Omega. So you can see the Kenny Omega handprints on this one after that moment. And more back and forth. Shida goes for the running knee strike next. However, Vicky Guerrero gets involved again. She brushes Shida's leg. Bit of a confrontation here, and then Nyla shoves her to the outside. And Nyla sets Shida up in a fireman's carry. Thinking she's going to hit Shida for her own kendo stick again. However, Aubrey steals the kendo stick and Nyla is sent into Vicky. Really nice to see Vicky take a bump there. Back in the ring, Shida hits the Falcon Arrow, another knee strike for a near fall, so doesn't get the job done, but she hits like a combo of knee strikes, one to the back of the head and a bunch to the front, and that's the match. After that, Shida leaves, she celebrates, but Vicky and Nyla get to an argument in the ring, and it ends when Vicky slaps Nyla, but Nyla doesn't really retaliate. It's a bit weird, like she just ends up accepting it, and then they just walk to the back as the segment ends. I thought maybe like Nyla would turn on Vicky, maybe, but they might be building to that in the long run, and we'll see what happens there. 3 1/4 star for me. I thought their Double or Nothing match was a bit better than this because there wasn't the interference from Vicky. They had a lot more time to do a lot of action. This didn't have a lot of build to it, unfortunately. This is the problem with the AEW Women's Division, just like not giving their women much of a spotlight to work with compared to other people on the show. So my hope for them is that they give more women something to do on Dynamite, and we see something for the next pay-per-view or in the episodes to come in the winter. So not an awful match, but just like one of the more least memorable ones of the entire show. We'll see what happens from here. In your next title match on Full Gear, it is FTR defending the AEW World Tag Team titles against the Young Bucks, with the stipulation that if the Bucks lose, they can never challenge for the titles ever again. So yeah, this match, a lot happens here. It's a very basic story going on. They work Matt's injured ankle a lot in the early match, but as Nick and Matt fight back in the match, it starts to get more of like an identity that we see online being talked about. This match has a lot of tributes to tag teams of the past. We see FTR hit the Steiner Brothers tag team finisher early on, but the Bucks are able to retaliate, hit some of their own big moves and finishers of tag teams of the past as well. They hit a 3D followed by an extreme combinations attributing both the Dudleys and the Hardy Boys, so really nice to see other people attributing tag teams that influenced them. And it's more back and forth. We see FTR really try to help each other out, but as they actually isolate one of the Bucks in the ring, they hit the meet in the middle DIY tag team finisher, so we actually get to hear them get mentioned on commentary by Excalibur 2. That is such a big deal considering, that's coming from their competition and 2 wrestlers who are still in NXT. Wow, I did not see that coming. After the meet in the middle, we see Nick save Matt from when FTR go for the spike power driver, so then it starts to slow down again. They also recreate more DIY related spots as they do the Takeover Toronto finish once again. So the Bucks have FTR both in sharpshooters at the same time. Dax and Cash lock arms. One's on the outside and one's in the ring. Cash taps out, but he is not the legal man. Dax is able to get to the ropes and escapes. So we're back to a standstill. Then we see Matt and Nick hit the BTE trigger, but Cash just saves the match for his team. But since Matt couldn't save it, he had a bad leg. And we get towards the climax. The Bucks are setting for the Meltzer driver, but Cash sends Nick into the timekeeper's area. He doesn't like go through the table. He kind of just like bumps and falls off it, so it's a bit of an ugly moment there. And Matt's on his own for a bit. They do the spike power driver. Matt gets to the ropes, so he's safe. And then Dax is taken out by Nick after he saves him from a figure 4 attempt. He hits a 450, and then as we come down to both Matt and Cash Wheeler, Cash has Matt beat down on the mat, but he doesn't want to beat him like in traditional way. He abandons the FTR philosophy of no flips, just fists. He goes to the apron, goes for a springboard 450. Like, whoa, first off, we've never seen that before from Cash Wheeler. What's going on here? But he goes for it. Matt moves out of the way. He hits a barefoot super kick as they did take out Matt's boot earlier in the match, and they win the match. Wow. Not even with a tag team finish. That surprised me too. Actually, I'm so used to AEW matches ending with tag team finishers. The Bucks win. They're the new champions, beating FTR. They celebrate together, and then Kenny Omega comes back down to celebrate with his friends. But we look back. Who's that in the tunnel? It's only Hangman Page. However, he doesn't come down to celebrate. Pretty sad. I was hoping he would like come down to make amends, but he just stands in the wings. And as we fade to black with the Bucks celebrating their well-earned tag team titles. Whew, like I said, a lot happened in this match, and for that reason, I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars out of 5. Yeah, and as I said, this is a tribute to tag teams of the past. It's pretty much like if you took Edge vs. Orton from Backlash and instead did it for tributes of tag teams of the past instead of single stars, which I really like that aspect of the match a lot. It helped a lot. FTR already do this with their offense, and we've seen them do in the matches leading up to this, and the Bucks will see their influences come true as well. Really fun stuff. I might feel like there might be more to this feud coming up, maybe a rematch at the next pay-per-view or on a special episode of Dynamite. Only time will tell. Really exciting stuff. Congratulations to the Bucks again, and let's see some more storylines get developed in the aftermath. Up next, it is the feud that seems to just can't get a break. Here we are again. It is Matt Hardy taking on Sammy Guevara in the Elite Deletion. So it is not like a live match like it was at All Out in that awful Broken Rules match. This is a cinematic match at the Hardy compound. It's your standard cinematic match for Matt Hardy. It's very like the final and ultimate deletion. Sammy pulls up in a golf cart. It says Spanish God on the front. We see Neo One welcome Sammy to the compound, and then as Sammy tries to move forward, his cart doesn't work anymore. And then we pan away from Sammy and see that Matt Hardy is in a monster truck. Yes, a monster truck. That just came out of my mouth. And he drives over the golf cart, crushing it, and presumably Sammy is dead. No, he's fine. And then the two start to fight, and the match officially begins. They just brawl around the compound. They brawl to the fountain, and Matt actually finds a staff of, I think it was Aristoteles, as Excalibur said, and then JR goes, oh, I feel like everyone was supposed to know that. It was really funny. And then they fight to an actual wrestling ring that we saw get teased, I think, on social media before this. And it's pretty much like a standard match from there. Matt hits a powerbomb through the table. However, as he's going to pin Sammy, Santana and Ortiz have found their way to the compound as well. So it's 3-on-1 for a bit. Is anybody gonna help Matt? Matt says, this ain't water, this ain't water. Then we see Private Party pull up to help Matt in the compound. So it's a bit even now. And then they eventually fight. They have Private Party and PNP fight in the ring. So they have like a actual wrestling match while Matt and Sammy have like their own stupid fun. And then we see another staple of these matches. We see Matt get Roman candles, and it's pretty much like a battle in the trenches. They are separated from each other, just shooting fireworks at each other. It's a really funny visual, and it's fun. Then they break away from each other and they fight to the Lake of Reincarnation. And as Matt is about to dump Sammy into it, holy crap, it's Gangrel with Hurricane Helms tied up, and he's threatening to like I guess kill him or like hurt him even more. It came out of nowhere, but I really like this moment. Private Party come for the save. They try to help him out, but what happens is that Sammy's able to dump Hurricane Helms into the lake, and he's monologuing for a bit, and then Hurricane Helms comes back as like Gregory Helms. He's like a press reporter, and then he asks Sammy, is this feud cursed or are you cursed? And there's a lot of insider terms here. I think it was really funny. And eventually they fight back to the ring. There's a wrestling match happening between Private Party and PNP still, and Gangrel shows up as well. They fight away from that area, and then we get to the Dome of Deletion, and as Sammy and Matt get inside, and as the rest chase them, Matt calls for Skarsgård to lock the place up. So now it's just mano a mano inside a Dome of Deletion. We see all the stables. We see the piano. We see the mower of lawns. We see like another ring. Not like the AEW ring. It's more like a home ring, like something branded about it. Sammy takes apart the turnbuckle pads. He actually uses the ring rope after it's unhooked to choke Matt out. He doesn't submit. I should note right there. Matt fades, and then Sammy does a big swanton off the ladder through a table in there. Matt does kick out. You know, he's trying to fight back, get into the match, babyface fire. He gets Sammy on the apron, big spear through two tables. Sammy is out. You can see the back of his head is bleeding after hitting the concrete floor. Matt then gets a chair. He monologues for a bit. He nails Sammy in the head with the chair first, like how I was saying did to him on Dynamite back in August. Then he hits a concerto, but there's no chair below Sammy. It's the concrete floor. Sammy is totally out of it at this point. Matt pins him. The match is over, and we then wrap up with Private Party and Matt putting Sammy into a trash bin. They bring him out to a pickup truck in the back. They tell him to drive off, and who's driving the truck? It's Senor Benjamin. Drives off with Sammy in the bin as Rebby Hardy plays us out on the piano. Whew. I'm not surprised doing Matt Hardy matches at this point. This is a very entertaining match. I'm gonna give it 3 3/4 stars out of 5. Not really a wrestling match, it's a Matt Hardy cinematic match. It's really entertaining stuff. I recommend watching if you like this sort of like silly thing in wrestling. Plus, you get Gangrel making a return. Like, okay, nice to see Property White Wolf making a return. Really fun stuff, really entertaining stuff. We had some variety to this show. No complaints here. Not amazing, not awful, but hey, if you like silly stuff, definitely check it out. In a match that has been built since the end of All Out, it is Chris Jericho taking on Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and if MJF wins, he gets to join the Inner Circle. And right away, bold statement from MJF in his entrance as he has his own Jericho light up jacket. He does the mock like beginning with like the lights are out. He does that thing, and it's a big slap in the face of Jericho there. And because of that, Jericho's kind of like the babyface in this match. We're not seeing really babyface Jericho at all in AEW, so it's nice to see he actually come back. He does the traditional "come on, baby" pins, and he's really fighting back. There's a fired up babyface. Only big thing early on in the match is that Jericho goes with the Judas effect on the outside, but his elbow hits the post, so we're already up to a bad start there. And that's kind of MJF's offense, much like how Shida had a bad leg in her match. MJF targets the bad arm of Jericho in this one. More back and forth. MJF actually yells, "Oh shit!" off a backdrop, which is actually really hilarious there. But both guys start to look more heelish tendencies. MJF is seen biting Jericho's hand at some point. Jericho finds himself opening up an eye poke, and this actually leads to a really nice Frankenstein from Jericho off the top turnbuckle, which I thought was a really nice open there. I'm surprised to see he can still do that at his age and his condition right now. MJF gets the salty armbar locked in later on. Jericho then counters the walls of Jericho, but MJF gets to the ropes, and as MJF uses Aubrey as a shield, MJF rings Jericho's arm on the rope. He hits his own code breaker, surprisingly enough, and then he sets up for the heat seeker. Pretty I'm looking for a moment, but Jericho's okay. Near fall, Jericho counters up a code breaker. No luck there either. We get to a standstill. Both men are down. MJF waits for Wardlow to come down. He gets Dynamite Diamond Ring. As he's about to hit Jericho stops himself and he calls for Floyd, his baseball bat. But as he gets the baseball bat, MJF simply drops to the mat. He pulls Eddie Guerrero. Aubrey turns around. She yells at Jericho, "What's going on?" MJF said he didn't do anything, and that allows MJF to roll up Jericho with the tights in hand, and he gets the 3 count. MJF is now allowed in the Inner Circle. You might think Jericho might be mad after this, but no. The two shake hands. Jericho welcomes MJF and Wardlow into the Inner Circle, and they embrace, so it's all good in the end. Jake Hager is there. He is not happy at all as they all walk to the back and the segment ends. I'm going to give this match 3.5 stars out of 5. They're a pretty standard match. It's actually one of Jericho's better matches in AEW, I think, especially in recent years, considering how his matches typically go. Good stuff and good storyline reasons to keep things going. I'm really intrigued to see what they do with MJF and Wardlow in Inner Circle from here. Maybe we'll have MJF like slowly break apart Inner Circle. He becomes a new leader. Maybe has a double agent there. He's going to betray Jericho, and Jericho will go full on babyface. We'll see. I'm excited to see what they do after this. Maybe we'll see Wardlow versus Hager as well. But hey, not a bad match. Pretty entertaining stuff. And let's get ready for more Jericho and MJF segments in the coming weeks. In the main event of Full Gear 2020, it is an I Quit match for the AEW World Championship, as it is Jon Moxley defending against Eddie Kingston. A lot of personal stuff in this feud, talking about their days working on the indies and how Moxley sold out to be Mr. Sports Entertainer, according to Kingston. Moxley wants his friend back, so here we are. It's all for Pretty Platinum itself. This is a very, very hot match as the two are striking each other around the ring. They fight to the outside area. Moxley throws a chair at Kingston's head at one point, and that's been oof, but he protects himself with his hands, fortunately. They fight to the crowd area. Moxley gets a suplex on Kingston onto the floor. Really, getting really bumpy already early on. Rough moments here and there. Kingston gets the chair back in the ring, and as Moxley's setting up, he actually finds the barbed wire bat. We haven't seen that since I think Full Gear last year in the Lights Out match. He hits Kingston 3 times with it, like one in the gut, one in the back, and then like one in his face. It's looking already really bit, but it gets even worse, people. Trust me. And Kingston gets an advantage of it. He throws Moxley into the bat on the floor and hits like this gunshot sounding chair. So like, ooh, it was a loud one. And this is where it starts to escalate. So Eddie Kingston, he takes the barbed wire off of the bat, wraps it around his fist, and he starts punching Moxley in the face with it. He actually gets a back fist on him too, and it's a really rough looking spot. Moxley does not quit at this point. So Kingston then gets some thumbtacks, and then as Moxley gonna paradigm shift Kingston onto the thumbtacks, Kingston escapes, and then he just throws Moxley onto them, and a lot of pain. So you might be asking, what can they do from here? We're gonna see glass again like we did last year? No. Kingston goes to the timekeeper area. He goes for where Doc Samson is, and what does he find? Rubbing alcohol. Yes. That stuff you put on to close out wounds and everything. There's a lot of wounds on Moxley right now. Like, he's shredded up like cold cheese. Now we're gonna get rubbing alcohol. Kingston brings it in, he opens up the bottle, he smells it, does not smell good, and then he pours it all over Moxley's punch shirt back, and oh, he sells it really well. I'm sure it's just gimmicked in some way, but in kayfabe, it's just like, oh, that's so like cringe-inducing. That must feel terrible. Moxley does not quit though. He's able to fight back eventually, and as he escapes the bulldog choke from Kingston, he hits the Gotch style pile driver, which they also mentioned Minoru Suzuki very prominently. So again, that New Japan partnership, is it coming? Well, only time will tell on that. Kingston does not quit at this point after a paradigm shift. Moxley keeps Eddie down. Moxley yells at Eddie saying it's over. He wraps some barbed wire across his forearm and he locks in the bulldog choke. Kingston eventually has to quit. He mumbles it and Moxley retains the championship. The show ends with Moxley helping Kingston up, but Kingston shoves him off and leaves on his own power, so it doesn't make him look too weak, so he's able to like leave on his own power. And as he's celebrating, who walks down to congratulate him? Kenny Omega, the next contender for the world title. He doesn't enter the ring at all. He just claps for Moxley and lets him have his moment, then he walks off. But they're sowing the seeds for Moxley and Omega in round 2, this time in a straight up singles match. And that's how we end the show, with Moxley in the ring on his own. I'm gonna give this match 4.25 stars out of 5. Really brutal I Quit match. They had a lot of innovation this one with the introduction of rubbing alcohol and the story that these two had going into it. You know, we knew a lot about it from Dynamite. It delivered. It was not the strongest match on the show, but hey, it wasn't bad at all. Like I said, 4.25 stars is not bad. Should not be ashamed of that. Really fun match. Really living up to the I Quit stipulation of what these two can do. And we set up for what's next for Moxley in the post-match angle, and that should be fun. Probably gonna be happening at Revolution. My final grade for AEW Full Gear 2020 is going to be an A+. Yep, I think this is the first time I've ever given an A+ to pay-per-view on the show. The highest I've ever gone is an A, but I'm happy to give Full Gear that grade as the first one to do so in this series. There wasn't really a bad match on this show, if you ask me. Every match at least lived up to like its hype going in. I know the women's title match may have been a bit of a downer for people. I thought it was okay. Nothing was awful about it. There just wasn't much of a story to it and for us to care about it. They may do with what they had, don't get me wrong, but you know, there could be more going into it. I guess that's like the only con I have, is just to give the women more time on Dynamite. Every other match, it delivered in like its own respective way. Like I said, Silver, you know how short this match was, it's a good showcase for him. Opener was really fun, fast-paced start. Every title match felt big and important, except maybe the women's match. And yeah, nothing bad to report. Really good stuff. The production issues weren't that bad. The Elite Deletion was really fun, really entertaining stuff. A little bit of everything on the show. Good variety from AEW. Nice to see representation of women's wrestling, cinematic matches, traditional work rate wrestling, and storytelling all in one show. Great variety show for AEW. Maybe the strongest show of the year. It's really between this and Revolution. You hear about my final picker show of the year in the Shooties, recording in December. As for the match of the night, I'm pretty conflicted actually. I don't know which one to pick. So what I'm going to do with that, I'm going to say it's a toss-up. My toss-up is between the opening match between Hangman Page and Kenny Omega in the tournament final, or the World Tag Team title match between the Young Bucks and FTR. Take your pick. What was better? Let me know in the comments below which match you preferred. And finally, the show MVP. So, you're probably wondering who it is. Is it Kenny Omega? Is it Hangman Page? Is it Jon Moxley? Is it Eddie Kingston? No. My MVP for this show is Cash Wheeler. Yes. So you're surprised by this probably. I picked someone from a tag team as like their own MVP. I give Cash Wheeler the nod because he worked his ass off in the World Tag Team title match. He did all of these big bumps. He had some ugly looking dives in that match, and I thought he just was like one of the best performer in that match, next to probably Matt Jackson for selling his injury. So really brutal stuff, really great selling from Cash Wheeler as well. And you know, he can do a 450 splash. Like, I'm not surprised at how good in shape he is, but like him doing a flip, who would have thought that would happen in 2020? This year has been a trip, to say the least. But yep, Cash Wheeler unexpectedly is our show MVP for Full Gear 2020. And that wraps up my AEW Full Gear 2020 pay-per-view review. If you like this video, be sure to hit subscribe and enable notifications if you really want, and stay tuned for more SSS content coming up in November. We actually have a pretty busy month for reviews. So Eric is doing a review of New Japan Pro Wrestling Power Struggle from this past weekend as well, on the same day as Full Gear actually. And sorry if I just like voice crack there. He's also doing a review of Survivor Series 2016, featuring that great Raw vs. SmackDown men's tag and 2 spears and a jackhammer in Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg. We'll have more content this month. The SSS podcast is up in time of recording, and another will be recording later this month before Survivor Series, so stay tuned for that. And as always, thank you all for watching. Again, hit subscribe if you want. Stay tuned for more. I'm Stel from Shoot Style Sauna, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Thanks, guys, and take care.